Welcome to On the Kerbs. I'm your host, Team Albers Daily. Joining me today is Formula Woman competitor and Sector 1 podcast host Amie Louise Brown. We caught up recently to chat about how she got into motorsport to begin with, how she wanted to become a racing driver herself, W Series so far in 2021, and much more. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Hi Amie, thank you for being here today. First of all, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I hope you're well too. Thank you for having me on here.
My pleasure. Yeah, I'm pretty good, thank you. So, tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, so obviously my name's Amie. I'm 24 and I'm from Essex. I'm a sports science and physiotherapy graduate. I graduated a couple of years ago, and ever since then I've been working within car finance. The car finance company I work for actually owns the British touring car team, so I'm kind of involved in that. I go to spectate a lot with that as well. And when I'm not doing anything with motorsport, I am a show jumper as well. So I'm an equestrian, I have horses, so I spend my time on that as well.
Getting all of the horsepower in there.
yeah, every kind of horsepower.
So then, what first got you into motorsport?
Okay, so my granddad used to race minis back in, but my dad obviously went alongside to the races. My dad grew up in motorsport, so I've kind of got that from my dad and my time on a Sunday morning, going downstairs to watch the Formula One, going to Brands to watch Formula 4, Formula 3. So it was my dad and my granddad that brought me up within motorsport, predominantly F1. I've grown up with F1, and then also obviously the touring cars. But yeah, from an early age, I've just loved motorsport. I love the adrenaline and the speed. But predominantly, my dad and my granddad got me into motorsport in the beginning.
So you've got quite a nice gig going with the touring cars at the moment as well. If you can go and spectate, and that doesn't hurt, does it? Nice perk of the job.
No. That's a great opportunity.
So then, what made you want to enter the Formula One competition?
So I've always obviously loved cars. I've done multiple track days, karting days, but racing comes with a lot of financial backing. And that is something that obviously I lack and most people lack. So there was never a chance of me being able to kind of go down the road of being a driver, because I would never have the financial backing for it. So when I saw the advertisement on Facebook for Formula Women, read a bit about it and saw that you could potentially get a fully funded seat and all the training and track days that go along with it for a minimal cost, I was like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I can't really pass this up. So I signed up, and here I am.
So you kind of pinch yourself, check it's a real thing, and you're awake for it. It's like, this seems too good to be true.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is the opportunity to be able to do this mean to you then? Like you say, like you are, like many other people in the country, doesn't have the opportunity or don't have the financial backing to be able to do this. So what does it mean to you to be able to now realise that dream?
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And I know there's still some people that obviously couldn't probably afford to do the Formula Women. So I count myself lucky that I know it's a small cost, but it's still a cost. And obviously growing up within motorsport, it's always been a dream to obviously be like joking around saying, oh yeah, I could be a driver, I could do this, I can do that. But now actually being in the position where it could become reality, I think it is one of those moments where you kind of pinch yourself to think, I am very lucky to still get the opportunity to do this.
Kind of putting your money where your mouth is now, and we'll see if you can.
Yeah, see if I'm as good as I think I am.
So on that note then, what have you been doing to prepare for the competition?
Obviously simulator training is a big part, so I've been trying to do as much sim work as I can, so playing a lot of F1 2020 and 2021, because obviously
good excuses.
Yeah, just gaming, that's all I can do. But it's a lot of obviously gear changing, track positioning. It's very beneficial. Obviously trying to get track days, so my assessment individually is at Bedford Autodrome. So trying to book as much as I can to get experience on that track, so I know what I'm doing when I actually turn up on the day.
Always good to know which way around the track is supposed to go.
Yeah, I've never been there, so it would really help to get some experience on there first of all. But obviously fitness side as well, being a sports therapy graduate, I've always been into sports. whether it be football, I've done cheerleading, obviously show jumping as well. I've always been very sport orientated, but racing is a complete different caliber of fitness. I've had to run more to get my aerobic exercise developed. I've had to start doing some weight training, eating completely differently so my body adapts. It's completely different, and obviously it's nowhere near what professional racing drivers have to do, but it's bloody hard, I tell you that.
Hopefully all worth it in the long run, though. At the very least, you've gotten that thing of anything that any guilt you might have had coming out of lockdown or anything, it's all gone now and put it all to good use. So then, what would your dream job in motorsport be if the driving wasn't the obvious choice there? I feel like that'd be cutting the answer too quickly.
So there's two. Obviously, with studying sports therapy at university, driver coach. That would be something that I would like to do and like to expand my knowledge on, because I think that's one of the areas of the sport that doesn't get talked about as much, and I think that they play a massive part in a driver's routine and a driver's ability, I guess.
So I think we see them more on Drive to Survive a little bit these days, but aside from that, you wouldn't have really seen them beforehand that much unless you went out your way looking for them. So.
I think obviously Michael Italiano, Daniel Ricciardo's driver coach, we see a lot more of him obviously because they're such good friends. But yeah, I think it's something that not many people really know about, or it's not very talked about, and they just kind of think that the driver does their own.
Is something you want to tell people about, though? This is your chance to really shine a light and go for it. Yeah,
it is. It's more of a thing that we're here. This is what we've done. Like we've helped this person get to where they are now, and it's not really looked upon, really. So yeah, I'd like to do obviously all the driver fitness and driver coaching, but at the same time, communications. I think that's obviously a massive part of motorsport. And I love working in fast-paced environments. Obviously, getting to travel the world with a team would be a bonus. But I like the fast-paced environment, having to know that you're in a really high-pressure job, because I look at communications is a very high-pressure job. I think, that's very interesting as well. So probably either communications or driver coach if the driver didn't work out.
And so it kind of segues nicely then onto the next bit, because I mean, communications-wise, you're part of the Sector 1 YouTube channel / podcast. How did that come about? And the obvious question, are you the best racing driver of all of them?
So actually this year so far, I've kind of stepped down as my role because obviously I've got so much going on. I'm still a part of the team. I'm just obviously not doing as much content as I was until I get everything figured out. But the guys they're all lovely, genuine people, all so knowledgeable in different aspects of the sport. So just for example, there's one lovely girl called Lauren who does MotoGP, and before I ever met her, I would have known nothing about MotoGP, had no interest in it at all. But having people like that come in from different backgrounds of the sport, she's opened another door. Now MotoGP, I'm watching any race that I get the chance to. I never would, but they're also lovely. So how it came about was I actually saw a TikTok. So Sydney Barge is the founder of Sector 1, and she actually put out a TikTok asking for, I think it was other girls at the start to do a podcast, because she felt that there wasn't enough diversity. So she was just putting it out there to see if there was anyone that wanted to join her podcast. And I saw that TikTok a little too late, so they'd already got their podcast, unfortunately. So I wasn't a first choice. but I messaged her and she was lovely, messaged me straight back. We had a conversation, and obviously having the background on the touring cars was something that she was wanting to broaden the Sector 1 channel on, because it just started with Formula 1. So we had a chat, we've actually met up a few times and spoke it through, and so I joined as a Formula 1, Formula 2, Formula 3 and British touring car content creator. We created a lot of content, obviously the YouTube, the podcast. It was great. I learned so many new things within Formula 1 even that I didn't know. But yeah, it's been a great opportunity, and I can't wait to see where we can grow to, because I think it's February they've been going since, and they've already interviewed some really incredible people. I mean, I've had the chance to interview some incredible people. Laura Winter, who's a Formula One presenter, obviously she does rugby, different sports as well. We managed to speak to her. I've spoken to Sarah Moore and Sabre Cook, so the W Series drivers. So myself, I've had a lot of opportunities through Sector 1, and I'm probably going to really annoy them by saying that I am definitely the best driver in all of them. I'm also the oldest, so I get to say that.
Just pulling rank completely there.
Yeah. But I'm going to say yes, I'd definitely be the best driver out of all of them.
At the very least, that gives them all incentive to get together and you can have a track day or something and really put it to the test and find out. And that seems like a good day out for me. So.
Exactly.
And it sounds like the touring cars as well is really helping you a lot on this one at the moment. Just keeps making appearance at just the right time to help you along a bit. So it's quite interesting how that's coming about.
It is. I think it's obviously because it used to be a lot more widely talked about and broadcasted than it is now. I think obviously Formula One is the pinnacle of motorsport. That's grown incredibly. So you don't hear as much about the touring cars. But when you do mention it, people are very interested in it. So I think that's why it's opening doors for me. Because more people either want to get into British touring car or they want to learn more about British touring car, which is great because obviously it's helping me get along as well.
Oh, yeah. I'm saying I think it's one of those things as well where, like you say, people are still interested, but there might not be as much of a focus on it as much these days. But then there's there's still the interest, so there's always that potential for a comeback, and everyone likes a good comeback story of one kind or another. So you never know, might be. We might still be there in 10 years' time, and then you're at the thick of it, in the thick of it then. So
yeah, definitely.
So have you been watching W Series this year? And if so, how have you been finding it, and who's your standout driver?
Okay, so W Series. My opinion on W Series started off as I wasn't sure about the whole series in general, because my initial reaction was, why are they segregating women, not racing alongside men? It's kind of separating them to seem like they can't race against men. They're not good enough because they're just all girls in one series. But kind of following along with it, speaking to the drivers, I realized it's more of a developmental series, and it's given a lot more women an opportunity to get into single seaters and to their racing career. So I am a supporter of W Series now. I wasn't when it first started, but I am now. And I think along financially, it's helping a lot of women financially that wouldn't be able to get support. Drivers that outside, obviously Jamie Chadwick, I think she's going to have to be one that everyone says is kind of, but along with Sarah Moore, obviously I'm a bit biased. I've spoken to Sarah. Just a bit biased, but I think obviously from the races that we've seen so far, she's come
consistently there.
Right, yeah, she's consistently top 5, a couple of podiums. I think that she's obviously one to watch out for. Obviously Alice Powell, can't count either. It seems to be the British drivers at the moment. They're my 3 that I kind of win along closely.
They're all doing really well, so we can't blame you for choosing them.
Exactly. So yeah, I think those 3 are the ones that I'm rooting for, and I feel like they've made the biggest impact so far. But they're all very, very talented drivers, so I am not raising out anyone at the moment. I just think those 3 are the ones with the potential to kind of be at the top when this series is done for this year.
I think that's a good thing, though, that you can't really, I mean, as much as you might think Jamie probably has the advantage, you can't really rule anyone out, and you kind of quite enjoy that, because that's exactly what you want from motorsport at the end of the day, isn't it? You want it to be as close as possible. So yeah,
exactly. Every weekend you don't know who's going to be on the podium, which is nice. Whereas Formula One, just for example, we kind of be on the podium weekend, so it's kind of a bit anticlimactic. Whereas W Series, you have no idea who's going to be on those 3 steps, so it is kind of nice, not knowing. But yeah, a lot of talent.
So then, who would you say would be your favorite racing driver of all time?
I can never answer this question.
Just a little question, nothing too major.
Yeah, I can never answer this question when someone asks me this with one name. So
like, if you how many names do you need to be happy with yourself?
So I've planned this question out. I've answered it multiple times with different people. So the two drivers that got me into racing in general were Jenson Button and Sebastian Vettel. So those two are the drivers that kind of I grew up watching and got me into the sport. But then you can't count out drivers like Senna, Michael Schumacher, or Niki Lauda, because they are genuine legends within motorsport. Nowadays, kind of, these are all Formula One drivers if you haven't noticed. Nowadays, so it's a bit sad because my favourite Formula One driver, who isn't a Formula One driver anymore, was Alex Albon. Everyone doesn't understand because nobody understands why, but generally
have you become a DTM fan in the last year by any chance? Or?
I've watched him, but I'm not really a big fan of DTM. I was lucky enough to meet Liam Lawson and Alex Albon at Goodwood Festival of Speed this year. And generally the nicest people I've ever met. So Alex Albon is my favourite current kind of Formula One driver because he's still within Formula One.
He's not out of it yet. He's just not on the grid.
But besides Alex Albon, I'd probably have to say Daniel Ricciardo and Pierre Gasly.
Ricciardo, I can fully understand that one, to be honest, and we're hoping that he bounces back a bit soon. Gasly he's been flying under the radar a lot. I feel like he delivers constantly, and no, he doesn't get the spotlight on him enough, I don't think.
Yes, yeah, I know. Daniel Ricciardo is a hard one. Every weekend I'm wanting to
he's breaking the hearts at the moment a bit, isn't he?
There is, but I'm hoping, obviously, with all the regulations within 2022, that he's just gonna act like that.
So we know he's got the skill. So.
Oh yeah, no doubt within it, but it's just upsetting to see him so behind what he could be achieving.
So then, a few fun questions to finish off. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
Probably gonna go with 100 duck-sized horses. Yeah. I feel
you're working that out there. You're trying to think.
I feel like a horse-sized duck would be a bit more intimidating, so I'm going to go with
the bill alone would be massive in comparison to what you normally have to deal with.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll go with the 100 duck-sized horses. I feel like it'll be a bit easier to overcome.
What's one food you love but everyone else hates?
Oh, pineapple on pizza.
Okay, that's not allowed, but all right.
And nobody I know seems to like pickles, whether it's in burgers or it's on its own. So I'm going to say pickles and pineapple on pizza.
You're not putting the pickles on the pizza as well, are you?
No, I wouldn't go that
far. Okay, all right. There's some redeeming quality there.
I'm glad.
If you had to become an inanimate object for a year, what would you choose?
I'm not really sure on this one. I haven't got a definite answer, but I kind of feel like mirrors are pretty cool because you can get to see a lot through a mirror.
Okay, I see that logic. Yeah, no, at least you'd be entertained, hopefully, depending where the mirror is.
Yeah, so it's a pro and a con at the same time.
You need a good location for it. If you're stuck in a basement or something, it's going to be a really long year.
Yeah, but that's going to be my answer. That's the only thing I can kind of think of.
Okay, I like it though. And then finally, what's your guilty pleasure film to watch?
Okay, I've got two, and it's nothing to do with the actor that appears in both films. So Armageddon and Pearl Harbor, and it's not to do with Ben Affleck.
The fact that you have to say that makes me think it might have something to do with Ben Affleck.
Every time I tell people that they're my two guilty pleasure films, it's because it's Ben Affleck, isn't it? Or it's just because you like looking at Ben Affleck.
Wrong with it. If it is Ben Affleck, you can say it's because of Ben Affleck.
I just like the films.
You watch it for the plot, do you? And the plot's Ben Affleck.
I watch it for the plot, but both films make me cry every time I watch them. So it's kind of looking like towards more, it's watch it because of Ben Affleck.
Fair enough. We'll leave it there. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. I want to wish you best of luck with Formula One competition moving forward. And yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for wishing me good luck.
was great chatting with Amie. I want to thank her again for coming onto the show, and I wish her the best of luck with the Formula Woman competition and beyond. Join me again soon when I'll be chatting to another famous face from the world of motorsport. In the meantime, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and check out the other videos on the On the Kerbs YouTube channel. Away from YouTube, you can find me over on DriveTribe, and feel free to follow me on Instagram at t.albers.daily.drivetribe. You can also find me over on GP Grandstand TV, where I'm part of their weekly podcast. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next week for the next episode.